What's up, Kingdom Builders? Today, we're going to talk about how we can make good decisions to scale our businesses. Earlier in the week, we talked about making sure that as we make decisions and ultimately make mistakes, we don't allow ourselves to sit and stew in condemnation. And today, I want to talk with you about how we can make better decisions when we're looking to expand our business, harvest more for the kingdom, in the kingdom. And three frustrations are, number one, it's difficult to understand what to do next when we're breaking new ground. So it's easy to do something that you have skills in. It's hard to do something that you don't have skills in yet. And scaling a business, you're always going to bump your head into walls, right? So I remember for me, the very first time I started a coaching business model, I struggled, and then I hit 35 grand a month in profit. And I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. But then I got stuck there because of things that I didn't know that I didn't know. I thought I knew what I was doing, but I didn't know what I was doing. And that's why I got stuck there. Well, then we scaled it up, 100 grand a month, 200, 300, 500, 800. And because I knew that thing now that I didn't know then, I was able to launch a new business with that same model. And I got it up to north of $100,000 a month in, I think, 8 months. Then I was able to do it again, and I got it north of $100,000 in 3 months. And again, I'm not bragging on me. I'm bragging on having knowledge and not having knowledge. And that's the frustrating point. Like, what do we do when we don't know what we're doing? A second frustration is when we try and we fail. We try, oh man, I thought that was going to work. Oh, it didn't work. Bonk, 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 right? I remember there were so many times in my early business life where I would look in the mirror and I'd be like, what the hell is the matter with you, Paul? Right? Like, everybody else is being successful. What's wrong with you? And I had to learn how to change my attitude. And then a third frustration is we have these goals, we have these visions, we have these dreams from the Lord, the invitation to do big things, but we don't see how we can do those big things. And we tried and we failed, and it's not working as fast as we want. And that's scary and frustrating, especially when we look at the economy and the seasonality of where we're in. We're entering in Q4, then we're entering in an election year. We're also entering in the first election ever in the history of the world that has generative AI that can now talk like people and do videos like people. It's going to be nutso. So what we want is we want a kingdom playbook on how we can keep moving forward. That's it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through some things that have been really helpful for me, and hopefully they'll be a blessing to you too. To do that, I'm going to pull out my trusty pad, my old tablet and papyrus, my quill pen. And the first thing I want to do is talk to you about, you have to have a goal. Everything starts with a kingdom vision. With vision, without vision, people perish. So without V, people are unhappy. And with V, people are happy, right? So what is goal? What is goal? Right? And you have to have clarity. The kingdom is a kingdom of clarity. Okay, first order business. Number two, when it comes to a decision, you have to ask yourself, will this action move me toward or away from goal? Okay? So, must have goal will move me toward or away from goal. Might be like, dude, this is like kindergarten. Yes, it is. As all good things are, my friend. So I challenge you, if you're like, I've heard this before, are you doing it? Are you doing it with excellence? Are you doing it diligently, deliberately, daily? Okay? And if you're not, I invite you to up-level this, because this will provide you clarity and momentum. Okay, so What is goal? Will this thing move me toward or away from goal? Then you also have to have a feedback loop present. And what a feedback loop is where you have input, output, and then you have a feedback mechanism. Don't do anything without a feedback mechanism, because if you feel like the action will move you toward goal, obviously do it. If you feel like the action will move you away from goal, don't do it. But if you have no measurement, if you have no feedback loop, then you don't know. You have no clue. Well, is the thing I'm working? Is the thing I'm doing working? Is the thing I'm doing not working? Right? So you got to have clarity on your goal. You got to ask yourself, will this action, will this plan, will this project, will this tool, will this shiny object move me toward or away from my goal? If it's toward, take it. If it's away from, don't. And then you have to think in terms of systems. The kingdom is a system. Everything is a system. And let me be clear here. When I say system, I don't mean that being led by the Holy Spirit is less important than a predictable and consistent system. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying the Lord told us to, man comes up with his plans, defines his plans, the Lord directs his steps. So when it comes to building business, system thinking is your friend. A great book on this is called Thinking in Systems by Donella Meadows, I think. Thinking in Systems by Donatello Meadows or Donella Meadows. Incredible book. Highly encourage you. It's kind of dense. It's one of those things you got to sit with, but man, those things will unpack such a vast depth of understanding, because what you want to do is you want to always focus on learning and mastering things that don't change. And most of the shiny objects the Christian entrepreneur is exposed to are flashy things, things that do change. But if you can learn to focus and learn and become a master of the things that don't change, then you learn one thing that will take care of you forever. Okay? And that's when my businesses started to tick and talk and pop and rock, when I started to deploy limitless principles, evergreen principles into what I was doing, and most importantly, how I was thinking about what I was doing. Then, the old day, I would be doing this. Old. Going here, 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 here. You know, kind of like the balloon that you inflate and then you deflate and it just goes all over the room. This was old, flash, shallow thinking. Okay? New systems thinking allowed more of this. Right? Your path from point A to point B will never be this. It's always going to be a little bit of this. But the clearer you're thinking, the flatter your curve. So, a big part of thinking is thinking in systems. And here's how system thinking works. You have your input, you have your system, you have your output. So input into system into output, and then you have your feedback loop. Now, what most people miss about this model is this does not happen in a vacuum. It happens in an environment. And this is the sun, if you will. So, input, system, output, feedback loop. For example, when it comes to paid media, this system will operate different. The same identical system will have different outputs in Q1 versus Q4. Because all of the e-com spending increases in Q4, the competition increases in Q4, and you have companies liquidating advertising budgets to, reduce taxes in Q4. Same system, different output, different feedback loop because of the environment that you're in. Talk about the environment that we're in. You'll hear me say things like Q4, elections, AI, because all of those operate on top of whatever system that we're in, right? So again, the system happens within the context of the environment that the system is happening in. It's important to understand not only the system that you're working, but the environment within which that system is operating, or the soil upon which the seed is growing. And because I've been at this for 25 years, and I've built in great economies, I've built in horrible economies, I've built in inflation, I've built in deflation, I've built through pandemics now, I've built through many election cycles. Again, I'm not saying this to brag. I certainly don't know everything. However, I've learned to think in terms of systems, because thing we were doing that worked really well in entering into a new environment stopped working really well. And for a long time, I didn't understand why. I'm like, what? We're doing the same thing. Well, this piece right here within the system. So when it comes to making good decisions, you need to understand what the goal is. You need to ask yourself, with everything you're doing, will it move me towards or away from my goal? You need to have a feedback loop present, and you need to start to think in terms of systems. And in doing these things, you'll go from what we call spaghetti head, which is just, blow up balloon and all over the room, to what we call waffle head, which is where you are able to and create momentum and generate traction in your business and in your life. Now, the final thing I'll say is the system, the environment upon which we, the Christian entrepreneur, operate in. We are in this world, but we are not of this world. So if this could come up this way on the page and I could draw in 4 dimensions, right? 2 dimensions, 4 dimension, you got to overlay the spiritual dimension around this and allow God to supersize the plan. That's where you allow him to direct your steps. That's where you allow him to give you above and beyond what you can ask or think. So by no means is the Christian entrepreneur limited to systems. However, if we're using our brain properly and we're thinking properly and we're being an architect, which is what business is, then we will be doing everything we can in our power with our gifts, with our vision, to then allow God to just supersize it, for him to upgrade it, for him to do his magic, right? The principle of the steward is the dude gave 5, 1 to his servants, right? And the one dude went and buried it, and he took that dude's money and he gave it to the guy that doubled it to 5 and 5. He ended up with 11, and he cast him out into gnashing of teeth and hell. That's how God thinks about stewardship. Whether you like it or not, whether you feel like it's politically correct or not, whether it's popular or not, don't worry about that. Understand how he thinks. And so he wants us to do clean thinking. He doesn't want us just to sit there and be emotive Christian entrepreneurs. Doop-de-doo. I'm going to wake up. I feel like doing this. I feel like doing that. No. We have to have goals. That's vision. He'll give us above and beyond what we can ask or think for. What are you asking and what are you thinking for and asking for and thinking about? And then, are you ordering your steps? Are you being a good steward of your time, of your focus, of your energy, of your no muscle? Saying no to things. That's 95% of focus. It's not what you say yes to, it's what you say no to. So y'all do these things and you'll be able to make better quality decisions. And then just trust the Lord. That's the final piece. Just submit these plans to him and then do the best you can and trust him to make up the difference. And that he has your back. And that you will fail and it's okay. Just keep trucking.